Rand.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Give Me Rent. I'm Brandon,
I'm Noah.
and today we have the first episode of our special segment that we're going to do alongside our normal news coverage. We have the CS segment, which is the current state. So a lot of these older franchises that may be coming back, may not be around. We're going to be talking about the current state and announcements regarding them. So without further ado, the first episode actually is going to be about the Transformers franchise, following Transformers 1, and now massive announcement of Michael Bay coming back and filming and creating a movie, which I think is strange direction for the franchise. I don't know how you
Yeah,
feel about
let's delve into this a little bit more specifically, I guess. Let's kind of
Yeah.
state I think both of us are in the same boat where this is a franchise we don't follow too closely, but because of our nostalgia for it from when we were kids, when the Michael Bay movies were coming out, and I'm not going to say I love those movies, but they definitely hold a special place in my heart from my childhood. I think that's why we're talking about this today. It's really the interest in bringing back Michael Bay to this franchise, especially after a lot of people think he just. There were five Michael Bay Transformers movies,
Yeah,
and
and
I think a lot of people think he overstayed his welcome, and I think he even believed that for quite some time. So it's very interesting. It's all about money, of course. But it's very interesting that they pulled him back in some way, or at least as of now, it seems like he's coming back. And I want to
100%.
know what you think. Just when you saw that announcement, what were you thinking?
So I used to be very into Transformers growing up, had comics, was really indulged in the lore, and
So yeah, you
obviously,
were a bigger fan than me,
I,
I'd assume. I honestly
and,
thought we were same boat for a sec, but please explain.
and I kind of did stray away from it just because, like, not because of Bay, but it felt like the media after, the third Bay movie really just it wasn't it for me. I was not a fan of the Wahlberg era, as I'll say. I just felt like
Yeah,
the
we'll
writing
call it
was
the
all over.
Wahlberg era.
We'll call it the Wahlberg era, but it just felt like the writing was all over the place. It felt like there was a lot of plot holes. Obviously, Shia wasn't in it, which isn't the biggest deal because you can move away from the main character like that. But there's a lot of things that I'm confused. So, what's the direction we're going in with this new movie? What's the point? Like, there's they do very well marketing with toys, obviously. So, is this going to be them just
It's
marketing
yeah,
for
you
more
got to point
toys?
out that this is a franchise based off of. I mean, what when the '80s, the toys were first, right? When the franchise started in the '80s, the toys came first. Am I
I
correct?
that's not something in my realm. It's more of like the story. I will understand more, but I actually think it was comic first and then toys. I could be wrong. It could be the other way around. But
Interesting.
before any sort of film and media, like it was written in toys from what
But
I
what
remember.
really helped make this franchise stick was obviously the toy sales and stuff like that. The Transformers are just very popular toys from
Es-
Hasbro. Obviously,
Especially
when you start the films, it says produced by made with Hasbro.
yeah,
Based on the Hasbro products.
especially with the Bayverse. A lot of people forget like Toys R Us was still a thing. I mean, toys were it was so much more
I
fun
remember the
in
hype
that
around those
aspect.
toys when we were.
I there was
The
a
first
lot of
Bayverse
hype.
movie came out. What was 2008?
It was 2008 or 7, but adults would wait in line at Toys R Us at like midnight. I remember because I was
Well,
like,
there were
what, like
huge
6?
Transformers fans from the '80s, and I think those were fans that I think did not like the Bayverse movies. I think there's definitely a lot of people that have come around to them, but I think a lot of people that hold them dear are people like us when we were the right demographic when those films came out. That trilogy was our childhood films. And you're right, I kind of stopped watching them after Shia left. I didn't. It's weird, not saying anything about Shia LaBeouf as a person or anything, but I think even as a kid, we were weirded out by the fact that they could just change the lead of these movies. Because
Yeah.
if you rewatch the movies, they really followed the humans. Like, I think that's another thing that people did not like. And I think when they pivoted without Bay, they wanted to focus more on the bots. And Rise of the Beast came out, Bumblebee came out before that, and then obviously Transformers One, which is a full cartoon
Yeah.
following just the Transformers. We hadn't had a movie like that in a long time because humans were thrown into the mix.
And even the animated shows that were popular at the time, especially on Cartoon Network, like there were
Oh,
humans in it.
Transformers Prime! I was the name I was trying to think of that show this whole time, but that show was awesome.
It was. And the thing that I realized is I did like the human aspect a little bit in
Yeah, no,
Transformers
I'm not even
because,
saying humans aren't involved with Transformers.
well,
Like they've been in the stories before the Bayverse, but
I wonder if Bay's going to go more the
you know,
Autobot
I
Decepticon
was
route.
thinking if he is coming back, it will be different because obviously his films. I believe the fifth one came out when probably like 2017, 2016. It's
Yeah,
been
around
almost
then we were in
10
high
years
school.
since he's been involved, and obviously times are different. I think stylistically they're going to be similar because it's Michael Bay, but I think
Yeah.
a focus on certain things might be a little different. We'll see. I
My
think that there's been very weird parts in his films, especially 4 and 5, with the humans, and I don't want to point them out because they're genuinely that weird, where
the
they're just
one thing
not
I do
needed.
the one thing I do want to say that was frustrating is there was a lot of it's a big I understand it's like a time jump, so there's a lot of Autobots that are like completely wiped out and killed, but some of them played like major roles in 2 and 3, and it's like okay, they're dead now. Like I understand if you don't want to talk about where Witwicky is and like not fully explain it, cool. But there's some big characters here missing. Also, I didn't like the overhumanization of some of the Autobots looking very similar to humans. Like that was another
And
thing that
also
really
them being like attracted to humans, which was a weird. Like you just had weird things with the woman in those films,
yeah,
especially Megan
Tom
Fox,
Kenny's
then
yeah,
the
well Tom
woman in
Kenny
the third.
Tom Kenny playing RC, I forget the Decepticon, but he literally, yeah, like he dog humps
I
Megan Fox.
rewatched a little bit
It's
of
funny though.
honestly
That
the three of them the other day. His role, it's funny, but it is weird. It's
it is.
the humor. I guess it's more adult oriented humor with some of the mini bots or whatever you want to
Is
call
it
them in it.
PG-13 anyways?
It's
The movie?
PG-13, but it's
So like,
very much that Michael Bay's humor, which is just it can be a lot. Like rewatching the original three now, you could tell why some people were really taken back by them and did not like those movies. They don't have as much of the focus on the bots as you would want, even though
Deep
the bots
Deep
are
Wang,
awesome.
Deep Wang, Deep
Yeah,
Wang.
I mean, in
Literally.
the first movie, Bumblebee literally pees on someone. Like
No.
that's not part of. But also it's John Turturro, and I guess I got to point out he's so iconic in these movies. Like,
He is.
like that's a great role.
Tell
Even though the movies
Megatron,
aren't
let's
good,
tango. Yeah, like
like they're iconic.
I
I
thought
got to point that out.
the casting for those movies, I'm not gonna lie, were actually pretty solid, especially in Revenge of the Fallen. I think Revenge of the Fallen's overhated. That's just me. I really think it's not as bad as people
Well,
made
I
it.
think we can point out that the trilogy itself. I mean, all of his movies are just so flashy, and they're just a little much. And again, with it just focusing more on the humans, it's just, especially rewatching it now, it's just so weird the approach that they took. Because
Mhm.
kids love I mean, I remember, I loved the Transformers individually. I loved the toys that I had, them in the movies. The characterization isn't perfect, but it was there. I think he just needed more of a focus on that. So I would be interested to see if he does come back, if he focuses on humans again, or if he focuses on the Transformers.
Yeah, it really gets to a point where it's like, okay, where is Michael Bay gonna go? Because at the same time, it's like a couple other movies he did where it's been just a massive toy promotion in a sort of sense. I mean, even with TMNT, you remember like how bad the movie
I
was.
honestly forgot that he produced those movies. I always do. I honestly forget those exist all the
And
time.
look at how many toys like they sold. They sold a lot, regardless of how bad that movie was.
Well,
And it's
he got that job because of Transformers,
oh,
obviously.
100%. It felt
Megan
some
Fox is in it
Shredder.
because of it as well.
Shredder felt like a transformer the way he looked at one point in the
Well,
movie.
I know I'm not going to delve into Ninja Turtles too much, but I know he was barely going to even be in that movie, and they heard complaints. So Michael Bay is someone who can listen to complaints and pivot. I
Yeah,
think he knows what people think of his Transformers movies, especially higher ups in Hollywood. They definitely know he got a little carried away.
yeah.
But I think if he actually is interested in coming back, I'd be at least intrigued to see what he does. I don't want it to be completely the same, but there definitely were good parts of those films. Maybe not the editing and some of the flashiness in the
Yeah.
filmmaking, but there's definitely a lot of things in those movies that worked.
The
And
what's the
I'd be excited to delve back into the world, but I want to see him restrain himself a little bit.
So what's the main thing you want to see? Because I honestly, Optimus, like canonically, like people say like Sam's dead because of
Is he?
how people think that because how Optimus wakes up and starts screaming Sam run, blah blah blah. Like that was their way of
Oh,
making it
so
look
you've
crazy.
seen the 4 and 5 by now.
Yeah,
You've
I have
seen.
seen it. I've seen
I
it.
think I've
So
seen most of 4 because I know a lot of the humor and the story. And the humor really sticks out because of one thing in particular. I'm not even going to talk about it. It's so bizarre. I think people who really know it's not a good movie.
no, it's not. And the thing I want to say though is, could Shia come back now that he's in a better place, and this be like, something happened? Like I
Do
could
you
see
think he'd
Michael.
want to come back? Like I don't even. I
I
don't even
don't
thought
know if
that. I
he
don't think
would.
he would.
See, I don't know if he would want to, but this is also the day and age where, like, I wouldn't be shocked if Michael Bay
They
had a
throw him
little
a
bit
ton
of,
of money too.
you know, and they could make it somehow make sense. I mean, listen, I haven't seen 4 and 5 in a while, so there could be something else that also entailed he's dead. But that's the main scene I remember always seeing and everyone talking about. Sam's dead. Like, most pivotal character. Everyone loves Sam Witwicky. I wouldn't be shocked if Michael Bay comes back for like one last thing and it's
They're probably
around
just
Sam.
on it.
Sam,
If he's got to be aware that people love Shia over
oh,
Mark Wahlberg. I don't even know the
oh,
character's name.
and even in the first three movies, like Sam is such an important role in that universe.
Well,
And
yeah, I was saying I rewatched I didn't rewatch all of them completely, but I rewatched some of all three of them the other day. He's like really like yeah, he leads the movie, definitely pushes the story forward. The Autobots are kind of second fiddle to his story. It's kind of weird.
and I
That's what
listen to
I'm
him a
saying.
lot.
I'd be interested to see if does the studio think people want more of that now? That's what I'm because I think the reason we're at where we're at with this franchise is because the last few didn't make the money that the studio wanted them to make, especially Transformers One. I don't think a lot of people saw that movie. I
Bay,
think we did.
we did, but Bay coming back, I wouldn't be shocked. Like all jokes aside, him throw another Linkin Park like song in the mix, get
Well,
everyone
listen,
hyped. Like I wouldn't be
I
shocked
don't.
with some
It just
nostalgia
can't be
right
the
there.
same. Do you think they every single time Linkin Park was a part of those movies? Because I do want to point that out. I think Linkin Park actually added a lot to those movies. I think every single song for at least the first three Transformers movies pretty iconic.
I could see him using them again, or if he doesn't want to go that route, I could see him using like a 3 Days Grace. He's gonna want to keep that vibe. Michael Bay is known. It's almost like how James Gunn likes to use like very niche music
Well, it's
for his
different.
roles.
It's
Michael Bay
tough.
likes to use popular bands such as
But do you
Linkin
think
Park.
Linkin Park would come back after the passing of Chester?
See,
And
that's why I don't think that would happen. I could see him going 3 Days Grace. I could see him going a
well, is
couple
that
other
why
bands.
why were they not part of 4 and 5? Why were they?
That I don't have enough information on. I wouldn't be shocked if it was because out of respect or
I don't
around.
remember the exact year everything happened there, so I'm not an expert on that. But I do think it is interesting how they're not involved in 4 and 5.
Exactly. And I could see Bay doing a lot just to make this movie make a lot more money than what they've had in the past failures. I wouldn't say one was a failure to me. It just didn't, make the money it
Well,
was
I
supposed
just want to point out for the listeners here, if you haven't seen Transformers One, I think it's by far the best Transformers movie we've
to. Yeah.
got in the past 20 years. I think fans of the franchise, I think, agree on that too. It was just a terribly marketed movie. It looked terrible. I
Yeah.
have to point that out. The trailers did not do it justice at all.
It looked like it'd
Don't
be a
watch
movie
the
for
trailer. Just
5-year-olds.
watch the movie. It's really great. I was shocked that it didn't make money. I thought word of mouth was going to help it. But they were trying to push it, before it came out. A lot of pre-screening, stuff like that. I believe I went to a pre-screening of Transformers 1, and everyone in the theater loved it. It was people reacting to it. I was in a packed theater, so I kind of assumed, like, yeah, maybe this is going to work. Maybe people are going to love this. And no one saw it. And now we're at where we're at now. I do want to ask you, though, did you see the other non-Bay films that have come? Rise of the Beast and Bumblebee?
I saw Bumblebee. I didn't see Rise of the Beast. Especially I saw a couple of the clips. I'm not gonna lie, like on TikTok sometimes it'll come up. And just some of it just looked like not appealing to me. And I'm very open minded, especially with Transformers and other
Yeah.
properties that aren't DC Marvel related. But it really just made me look and it's like, wow, it feels like it's so milked, the franchise now, that it's at the point where
But
it's like
also, we got to point out, Michael Bay brought it to that point. He kept making his movies, so I got to respect Rise of the Beast for at least trying to do something a little different. Even though it involved humans, all that, it was definitely leaning more into the cartoonishness of the franchise more so than Bay's films.
agree. I just feel like after Bay, they should have went a completely different direction with somebody else. I think 4 and 5 shouldn't have happened. And the other thing I do want to say that is cool, but I'd like to see that in Bay's next movie just to see if it's intriguing to see how he would do it. But Autobots and Decepticons throughout history were with like people in different wars and different this and that, like history with humans side by side. So I wonder if he's going to explore that a little bit more because I
He
feel like there's
established that in 4 and 5, right?
yes, I remember like there was flashback. It's not even just that,
That's
but
something interesting that was introduced in those, but it's just
it's
not. It's
it's
just so
very
half-assed, and it
it's
made no.
very
It didn't make sense.
it didn't make sense at the time, but I feel like with better explanation, it can make it seem more
Oh yeah,
appealing.
it's
But
definitely an interesting concept. I do agree with that, and I'm curious: is that what the people who want Babe back want to see?
I don't know what the fan base wants. I
Yeah.
don't even know what I want. I love Transformers, but I know a lot of Transformer names, a bunch of their lore, but it gets to a point now where I was looking back from I haven't seen the Bay movies in a while, but I was looking back and thinking like, where would they even go with this? Like
Yeah.
what it had to. I think it'd have to be around Sam or Totoro's. Like it's got to be around somebody big enough
It's
and
tough too when
influential enough.
I think it's tough when it's also established in the first movie that he did that like every single time there's an issue, it's always going to be a world-ending issue. And
Yeah,
obviously, it's Transformers; it's always going to be big scale. But
yeah,
when that's it, every single movie, it's gonna feel repetitive. So I
yeah.
think Transformers One was so needed, and it's crazy to me that no one cares about it as much because it was a personal story about. You're right, the origins of the Autobots and the Decepticons in a way, more the Decepticons, but
Yeah.
I thought it was done in such a great way, especially since the movie was more kid friendly and kid oriented. It still had those moments of obviously there's quite dark moments of Megatron becoming Megatron.
Yeah,
I thought it was handled very well for that. For the tone was just done perfectly in that movie.
I
I
think so
think.
too.
Well, I would take out some of the humor, but still,
Yeah,
it's for kids. I understood that while watching it. I think the overall story was still very strong.
yeah, it
I would
was.
definitely love to see a Transformers 2, and I know the people that worked on it would love to do it as well. They were
Yeah,
very passionate when making that movie, and I think it really shows. It's just such a shame that a lot of talent involved as well. Like it's actually kind of insane that not a lot of people saw the movie.
my biggest fear is if this, let's say Bay fails or really flops like tremendously. The biggest fear is okay, what's happened to this franchise? I don't want it to become a toy franchise, meaning they stray away from all sorts of media except for toys and action figures, and they rely solely on that because this franchise to me was too influential and too big for it to, get to that point. It really is, especially in comics. I mean, a lot of people forget the original comics for Transformers was extremely influential, and it's the power scaling. It's just a great comic run.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Focus more on that stuff, the actual lore, because I think. Well, I'm honestly curious of what you think on this. Do you think a big chunk of the fan base for the Bayverse films are car heads?
See, I
Because
I don't know. I mean,
you
I'm a
finally
car.
saw them use branded vehicles. Their cars back on their own planet. But then in the Bayverse movie, they're all product placement, which is kind of. I mean, the cars were great. They're great choices. I'm just saying that might have been a big appeal to people watching those films as
Yeah,
well.
and I'm a big car guy, and you obviously know
That's
this.
why
I'm
I'm
a
asking
massive
you.
car
Do you
person,
think a big
and
draw to it is the vehicles?
I think the vehicles are 100% a draw to it. I mean, who wouldn't want to see? And let's be real here. 2012 Corvette Stingray concept, which has never, it didn't even get released after that.
Yeah,
Like the car
yeah,
did not make it to the
beautiful car.
general public, and that's who Sideswipe was. And Sideswipe was one of the. I still think that's my favorite design, besides maybe Dino, who's a Ferrari 458 Italia. But like
See, you
those,
remember the vehicles. I
like
got to be on to something
and
here.
I'm a big car guy, and that's even before Transformers. I was a big car guy,
Of
but it
course.
did have a big influence. And to be honest with you, I mean, anyone sees an 18 wheeler that's blue or red, everyone's like, "Oh, it's Optimus Prime," thinking they're funny, or a Camaro, Bumblebee. Like
Their color schemes of themselves are just so iconic.
it is. And how about Mud and Flaps or Mud and Skids? Sorry, with the two twins that are the ice cream truck, and then they become the Chevy Cruze, I think it was, or Fiat. I
I
don't
wouldn't be
remember.
the expert,
No,
on
the
but I
Ford
know the
Fiesta
dots you're
and
talking
Cruze.
about.
Yeah, Ford Fiesta and the Chevy Cruze. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's been a long time since I've seen those movies, but the product placement for them is so well, and it does draw more eyes. It brings more people. Because now, watch, they do a movie in current time, we're going to see the first ever Tesla or even a Cybertruck. Like, think about the stuff that hasn't been touched in
Honestly,
Transformers.
they might just make fun of electric vehicles, though, especially if Bay comes back.
100%, I wouldn't mind it. Like I said, I remember 4 and 5. There could have been an electric vehicle. Don't quote me. I watched them once and I didn't care about
I mean,
them. But
technically, they are electric vehicles, though, right? Because they don't use gas, right?
that's but the thing is those are very appealing and very easy to market the movie, right? Especially since
Yeah.
Bay is a very big name with the franchise.
They
Very
also
easy
get
to
a lot
market.
of money
Yeah, they
from
do.
I'm
So
assuming.
so you got two big reasons why this should not flop. Realistically, he's great with getting, figuring out what the soundtrack should be. So he has three big things that are very easy to market, and the toys. Four. The movie shouldn't flop, but the only way I see it is it's so poorly written and done that it becomes so unbearable and it bombs within the first week. And then after that, the franchise, I'm gonna be real here. I think you go an adult, not adult, but maybe like TV 14 or 17, and you do an animated show and make it very
I
darker
will say
elements.
I don't fully agree on it going. It doesn't even need to be a more mature thing. I think they should pivot back to TV if their next film doesn't work.
And it should be animated. Shouldn't be live action unless you were gonna do some like Peacemaker thing where it's
They
like
could just
decently
continue
budgeted.
Transformers one
Sure.
in a show, but also like the budget would need to be very high. So
Yeah,
animation's obviously not. It's just as difficult. Let's be real,
it
especially
is.
if you're animating things as intricate as transforming cars and robots. It's
100%. It's one of those franchises where it's like, okay, if it doesn't do well, I feel like there's not as many options, let's say, as like maybe Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where there's so much different media that they can succeed in. Transformers, to me, is very limited on not me, but what I've seen in like, let's say, a normal day to day person. The visuals is a big thing. You don't have
Yeah,
to like Transformers, but you can
for
go see the
casual
car.
viewers, yeah, I think a lot
Yeah.
of the, I think for them a big appeal of the first three Bayverse films, even the other ones, is the visuals.
Yeah, the visuals in the
Some of
cars.
the most insane CGI we got of the 2010s were in those movies, and in the
And
late 2000s with the first.
and I do want to see not like crazy humor, like you said, like don't overdo it, but I think three
A
is
return to his humor would be very welcome for a lot of people.
exactly. And three, what's the word? John Malkovich. I'm going to use him as an example in three, right?
I was just watching a couple scenes with him the other day.
Malkovich's humor in that was very subtle but very bossy, so it made it feel realistic. Like he's a guy off his,
I will also admit,
off his
I
rocker.
don't love 4 and 5, like I said, but Stanley Tucci in 4 is hilarious.
Yeah, he is.
There's a lot of talent in these movies. That's the weird thing. Even though they're not great, there's a lot of talent.
And I think the script isn't as bad as like from what I remember, because I'm not gonna say that for at least one, two, and three. The script wasn't really that bad. Like their dialogue, and I think if he's able to, even Anthony Anderson in one was pretty hilarious. So like
Yeah.
Bay does a very good job with humor. Just don't overdo it in these movies. Like keep it adult, but maybe like in those high intense situations, like how Sam would crash out and say and do something funny or say something
He
funny.
had at least one per movie,
Like
and they were great, all great.
like those are things that do help the movie because in reality, when sometimes people are in like really crappy situations, they'll just make a joke to cope with it. I don't want it to be like how other action movies have been recently, and it's like loaded with dad jokes. Bay hasn't been involved in Transformers in 10 years. That's another thing I'm scared for. Is he going to adjust perfectly to today's time? People don't think, oh, 10 years isn't that much. It really does shape
Lots
a lot,
changed.
especially look at franchises and how much, everything's changed. So it's like, okay, this franchise really does need it. I really think so. I think if Bay really does a good job with this, this is going to push the franchise in a very good direction. But then it's like,
For
where?
some, they're going to be upset because
Yeah,
they think it's going backwards, bringing them back, and that's why we really wanted to talk about Transformers first. Is because they're in such a weird standing right now, where the studio has no idea what people want from it, and I think that's crazy. Well, I think 2 years ago they were like, "Hell no! Like, why would we bring Michael Bay back?" But now that they've seen, Transformers One's performance and Rise of the Beast performance, they're like, "Oh wow, people might want Bay back because 5, I believe, didn't do as well as the other ones, his fifth movie, but it still really outperformed everything that has come after that, which is crazy to me. I didn't even care about that movie when it came out, but there were still a lot of people showing up to see it. I think that's
yeah,
very interesting. Especially, I didn't think people were really interested in the Mark Wahlberg ones when they were coming out. They made a ton of fucking money.
yeah. They did. But going back to what we were saying, or what I was saying earlier, is just it's with the fandom itself. I'm not on that side of Twitter. I'm not
Well, it looks
involved.
like the fandom isn't really complete. It looks like there's different corners of it. They
I was
don't
gonna
know what
say.
they want.
It feels like
We're-
there's people who want more of the comic book realm that I've seen. There's some people who just care about like, I'll just show us cars. Some people want like a Bay version. Some people want more, not grounded, but very story oriented. And it's just, it's not like Star Wars where there's a groups of people who agree on a lot of things, and then obviously they hate each other. But it's Transformers. It's so, what's the word? Discombobulated.
But
It's
it's,
you know,
it's there's even much more than what he delved into in his films, which he actually ended up delving into a lot of the lore by the end of the day. By 5, pretty
yeah,
sure. If I could be pronouncing the villain's name wrong, but is it Omni? Like the villain of 5 is a huge villain from the franchise. So he didn't not delve into the
yeah,
lore. He just chose to focus more on things that, I mean, I would assume people don't really care about, but I think looking back on it, people are kind of nostalgic for a lot of the human aspects of at least the first 3. I
yeah.
can't defend 4 and 5, but I think people would love to see Shia, Megan Fox back even, possibly the girl from the third. I apologize for forgetting her name. I know she's married to Jason Statham, but I always forget the
Yeah,
actress'
I
name.
forget her name too.
But if we brought somebody, especially Sam's parents too, kind of iconic characters, Turturro,
Toro, I would say. Oh my God, what was his
Josh
name in the
Duhamel.
second? Who was the guy in the second movie that was gonna be roommates with Sam? That was
I
his name.
forget the actor's name too, but
Oh.
he was actually a pretty good character too.
Like I'm not saying you have to bring back because we always talk about in the podcast like fan service sucks, but like it's
But
at the
it's such a weird franchise where it's not even really like
well.
these are
I,
characters that are fan
I,
service. Like
well,
it's
that's not what I was gonna say. Well, Totoro and
I guess
Sam
in
and
a way
even
you're not
and
really wrong.
Sam Witwicky. So like Sam Totoro and Megan Fox could be looked at as fan.
Legacy characters for Transformers.
But the thing I was gonna say is. You did leave a big part out of what happened to Sam Witwicky because of what was going on with Shia
Well,
LaBeouf.
but
So,
the characters that did stay from the first movie to the fifth would be Josh Duhamel, right? Is like maybe the only one who's in at least 1 and 5.
yeah.
And then maybe Tyrese. I don't
Reese,
remember.
I don't remember.
He's in a
It's
good amount of them. He might be in more as well because those
he
were
is.
only the really connecting characters in a way.
Yeah, but what I was going to say was, you could fill a gap with Shia and see him coming back. That's somebody who I wouldn't consider fan service because it's a part of the story that would, it could be more depth. But
He was important to the story. I mean, of them being on Earth.
I mean, Revenge of the Fallen is based on whatever's going, with everything going on in his brain.
That's true.
Think about
Yeah,
that.
I'm saying, I was reminded when I was watching them just how important he is to the plot. It's
Super impactful.
It's his story. It's completely, and that's why I think as a kid I stopped watching them because I was like, why would you replace Shia? Like it didn't make sense to me. So I was like, I'm done. So I guess really it just shows you my younger self like dropped off of it because I cared a lot about the human characters. That's something weird because I thought I cared more about the cars and stuff, but you're making me realize that. It's very interesting.
It made us really look at Transformers about Sam and the Autobots really being the side character, or making it seem more about.
I can see people getting upset. I think fans, like I said, the fans of the 80s and the 90s stuff were probably really pissed when they came out because it's not what they were expecting at all. I mean, maybe when Michael Bay was announced, they knew there was an issue. But I think for us, they definitely are special films. I'm not going to call them good, but I will say I'll take more.
There's a lot. There's a lot of casual fans out there that are like not super into the lore that I know. Like,
Well, that's
love
that's me
Bayverse.
especially. I'm not that much
And-
into the lore where I'm like, okay, I'll give Michael Bay another shot.
I
Screw
think
it.
Bay coming back would be good for casual watches, but if he pulls it off, he pulls it off, and I'll give a lot of respect at the end of the day because I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, Transformers is a dying franchise," because it's most definitely not. But it's a franchise that's in peril, I would say, more than anything
I don't
else.
want to say like the last few films they've done were like complete bombs. Maybe Transformers 1 was,
Yeah.
but it's just interesting how the studio looked at them and they were like, they didn't do as well as the Bay films. Let's go back to Bay. And also, it's not 100% he's going to do this. I just think it's fascinating that they even pivoted back to be like, oh, we should maybe bring him back. Like, I never thought we would see that because of how kind of just redundant and stupid 4 and 5 got. They're just really, I'm not going to call half-baked, but they're just not memorable like those first 3 were. The first 3, we've said this whole time, they're not the greatest films, but at least they're pretty memorable.
I genuinely think 3 was pretty good conclusion for what we got. Like for
Yeah, but I rewatched like the last 30 minutes of 3. Like, it's still the editing. It's rushed and it's all choppy. They're not the best made movies. They kind of give you a headache when you're watching them now, I will say. Like, they're definitely kind of for kids in that regard. But there's definitely some great stuff in there. I think you're right where, especially 1 and 3, there's some really good bits in there. I think 2 is also a little overhated for, Listen, I'm looking at these as Michael Bay films. 2 is probably the weakest of those 3, but it's still pretty iconic for what people remember from this
I
stuff.
still don't hate it. I don't remember what the complaints were for it back then. Honestly, like I don't. Like I watch it now, and I think it's been. So
I
long.
remember going to see that in theaters. Like out of the 3 of them, I remember going to see the second one because I was so hyped after the first.
I remember 2 and 3, and I remember 3. I was so hyped because the 4580 Italia didn't come out yet, and we saw it on the road, and then it was in the trailer. So it's like I said, stuff like that. How you talked about before, like really product placement was a big variable in this. So
Yeah, I just think it's interesting to look at this franchise in that way where it's been unpredictable. They've gone in such a weird. It's different from other franchises where they haven't fully. I guess I don't want to use the word, but I'm gonna. They haven't like Marvelized it. It's not been done like like the MCU where it's just dropping so much. There was an abundance of the Michael Bay stuff because he got carried away. He kept making Transformers movies, but I think we both agree there's still a ton they could do with this franchise.
100%.
I personally think it should stay animated. But
I agree.
If they're gonna go a route of a Michael Bay, another live action one, I'll be seated and I'll be interested to see what he can do. Definitely more so than I was when 4 and 5 came out.
I definitely want to stay away from the marketing if and when he gets hired
I
because
will say though, they have a chance to do some crazy stuff with
they
that.
do. They do. And I really want to stay away though from the marketing, the trailers, everything, because I personally believe this is a movie where I hate to say I'm gonna watch 4 and 5. I'm gonna watch the 5 of them and I wanna go sit and just be completely ready to like I wanna be shocked. Like the one thing I hate about trailers is it's very revealing. And I feel like Transformers, because a
Well,
lot of it
especially
is
franchise stuff.
oh yeah.
Hard to
And
keep secrets anymore.
and specifically with Transformers and like the big thing being cars with people because everyone can't wait to see their favorite car on screen being Autobot or Decepticon, but sometimes those certain characters play big roles in the movie. I don't want to know if it's human oriented or if it's not. Like I want to go into this movie completely unaware of what's about to happen because people not don't understand Michael Bay coming back to this franchise is a very big thing because this is going to either very hinder it or this is going to make it succeed
It
and
could kill it.
possibly
It could kill
it
it.
could honestly kill it or it's going to bring it back to a point where okay they're going to get a couple more movies whether it's Bay anime or something else and he could they could start what's the word they could start pushing out and creating better content for the franchise in general and I know Hasbro has a lot of the toy stuff to back that up regardless. So movie does well or not, they
So
got good
I don't
toys.
know if you're aware of this too, but they were trying to get after Rise of the Beast because the movie ends with the character named Noah. He
Yeah.
goes to the GI Joe, which is another Hasbro toy product that was a huge cartoon.
Mhm.
They had films as well, but they want to bring them back within this franchise. That was the idea before Bay was even talked about possibly coming back as well. If that were to still happen, any intrigue there, do you think they should just kill it?
I don't I,
It's tough. Listen, I think it was always a matter of time before they tried to merge a few of their toy franchises, and I think they've done crossovers before, especially in comics and things like that.
yeah.
But do these worlds really mesh? Probably not. I do think obviously they were like, okay, the Transformers movies take place on Earth now. It can make sense, and I get it.
Yeah.
Throwing. I mean, it's not like GI Joe doesn't get kind of fantastical. Their movies kind of got a little out there, but yeah, they don't. Not in my mind, they don't really mesh. So I think the perception to that when it got announced, might have also led them to be like, okay, what we're doing is maybe a little wrong. I'm not sure if that's still being developed.
I get confused because I'm like GI Joe and Transformers. Like it makes it does and doesn't make sense. Like I could see that making a crossover. GI
Well,
Joe's
it
another
makes sense for them being both Hasbro, and
yeah.
then beyond that, it's like, okay, I don't really get it.
GI Joe's another franchise where it's like where is it even going to? But
Well, GI Joe is more of a dead franchise than Transformers.
oh,
There's not as large an appeal with it anymore. So I thought it was even more bizarre. So that could also be why the studio was like, okay, yeah, they're not interested. Fans aren't interested in this. I think it could be possible that both are being developed at the same time now. I
yes.
think they're trying to weigh their options, see what people want. They're having a hard time figuring that out. But I think we're both intrigued to see where this goes.
100%. I think Snake Eyes is also getting a movie or was and it got canceled.
I will
So-
say Snake Eyes was getting a movie, but you just reminded me that there was a spin-off GI Joe movie.
what?
Did Snake Eyes just come out? Are we just both?
I'm checking that right now.
I think it did. I think we're both just forgetting that with Ben, whatever his name is.
Yeah, 2021.
Yeah, that's another thing. They released a GI Joe movie in the 2020s, and we both just forgot about it because no one went to see that. No one cared. That's crazy.
2.5 out of 5.4 out of 10 rating, huh? Yeah.
I don't think anyone saw it.
Yeah, I was just looking at it right now because I thought that was something coming out like now. Because
the GI Joe movies have to be some of the most bizarre stuff from our childhood, though. I remember the first one, Channing Tatum,
I don't remember any of
Marlon
it.
Wayans is in it, and then in the second one, it's just The Rock. Like Channing Tatum gets killed in the first 10 minutes.
But,
ridiculous movie.
This is a franchise where I think we're gonna just keep our eyes on, keep on the radar, especially Bay's big news. But we're gonna just have to keep our eyes out and see, what's.
Well,
going on.
I think I'm intrigued to see what Hasbro decides to do if they decide to go with all the projects they've been developing. Listen, if anyone from Paramount ever listen to this, please just make Transformers 2. Just make a sequel to Transformers 1. I will say it's tough. They don't think it's going to make money. The first one didn't perform, but I think they have to be aware that people did really appreciate that film.
Yeah.
A lot of love put into that movie. I think I think from any of these Transformers films, that definitely felt like it was made by fans. But, I wasn't the biggest Rise of the Beast Bumblebee fan, but I think those as well have some merit. I think it was interesting to at least pivot away from the Bayverse, but if we're going to go back, we'll give it a shot.
Yep.
All right, for GMR, later.